All right, today we are diving deep, and I mean really deep, to unpack the secrets of one of the ocean's most electrifying residents, the torpedo ray. This is an animal that was a medical marvel, believe it or not, long before we even knew what electricity was. But let's start with a little pop quiz. Picture this, you're in ancient Rome. You've got a killer headache, a real migraine. Your physician comes over, and for treatment, he prescribes a fish. Any guesses which one? You got it, the torpedo ray. And really, its name kind of gives the whole thing away. It comes from the Latin word torpere, which means to be numb or paralyzed, which, is exactly how you'd feel if you got a little too close to one. Now, for hundreds and hundreds of years, this ability was a total mystery. Think about it. Long before anyone had any concept of electricity, people knew about this fish and its strange, invisible power. To them, it must have seemed like pure magic. Just try to put yourself in their shoes. You've got this flat, kind of unassuming fish just chilling in the sand. But if you touch it, bam, it sends this invisible jolt through you that can make your entire arm go numb. It is no wonder they thought this thing was supernatural. So how in the world does this natural taser actually work? Well, to get to the bottom of it, to understand the incredible biology behind that shock, we have to zoom way in on a very special type of cell. And these are them, electrocytes. Okay, so these are basically muscle cells that have evolved over time to do one thing and one thing only, generate electricity. Honestly, the best way to think about them is like thousands of tiny, living batteries all stacked together. So how do all those little batteries work together to create one massive jolt? Well, it happens in a flash. First, the ray's brain sends out the signal. That signal opens up all these little gates on the cells, and positively charged ions just flood inside. This instantly flips the cell's charge, creating a teeny tiny electric spark. And here's the kicker. When thousands of these cells do that at the exact same moment, all those tiny sparks add up to one massive, prey-stunning shock. These electrocytes aren't just floating around either. They are packed, and I mean packed, into two huge kidney-shaped organs, one on each side of the ray's head. And get this shows you how committed it is to its superpower. These organs can make up 1/6 of the ray's entire body weight. That is a serious investment in bioelectricity. So what's the grand total? What's the final output of all this incredible biology? The biggest species, the Atlantic torpedo ray, can unleash a shock of up to 220 volts. That is more than enough to stop a fish dead in its tracks, and definitely enough to get your attention. Okay, so if you've got a built-in taser, that's obviously going to shape your entire lifestyle, right? So let's take a look at how this crazy adaptation makes the torpedo ray such a successful predator. Unlike a shark or a tuna that has to chase down its food, the torpedo ray plays the waiting game. It's a lone wolf operating under the cover of darkness. It'll spend its time almost completely buried in sand or mud, just waiting, totally invisible, for an unlucky meal to swim a little too close. Now, it's really easy to mix up a torpedo ray with its more famous cousin, the stingray, but they are totally different animals. A stingray, it gracefully flaps its fins to fly through the water, and its defense is that venomous barb on its tail. The torpedo ray, no, it swims more like a shark, using its powerful tail to push through the water. And its weapon of choice isn't poison, it's pure, raw electricity. Its whole hunting toolkit is just perfectly designed for an ambush. It loves to eat things like fish and crustaceans, and to find them, even when they're buried in the sand, too, it uses these amazing sensors called the ampullae of Lorenzini to detect the faint electrical fields that all living things give off. Once it locks on, it's got two moves. It can either just lunge out and zap its prey instantly, or, for a bigger meal, it will actually wrap its whole body around the victim to focus the entire electric charge. Talk about a killer hug. So we know it's a seriously effective hunter, but what does all that power mean for us? This is always the big question, right? Just how dangerous is a torpedo ray to a person? Well, to put its power into perspective, that 220 volts is no joke. It's significant, but it's absolutely dwarfed by the undisputed king of electric fish, the electric eel, which can generate a mind-boggling 800 volts or even more. So here's the bottom line. Getting a shock from a torpedo ray would be extremely painful. Divers who've experienced it say it can stun you, completely disorient you. It could even knock you out for a second, which is definitely not something you want happening when you're underwater. But, and this is the important part, For a healthy adult, there are no recorded cases of it being fatal. And that brings us right back to where we started, from that Roman doctor Scribonius Largus, literally placing live rays on people's heads to cure headaches, all the way to today, where scientists are studying its unique electrical abilities in modern labs. It's pretty amazing to think about how long we've been fascinated by this animal's power. We have covered a ton of ground here, from ancient history to cell biology. So, to wrap it all up, let's do a quick recap of the 5 most important things you've got to remember about the TorpedoRay. Number 1, this thing is basically a living power plant. I mean, this isn't some minor trick it can do. The sheer size of those electric organs, taking up 1/6 of its body, that tells you everything about its evolutionary commitment to this superpower. Second, its whole life is built around the ambush. The TorpedoRay is the ultimate patient predator. It doesn't need speed because it lets the prey come to it. It just lies in wait, perfectly hidden, ready to strike from below. Third, don't forget how it moves. You gotta picture a shark, not a ray. Forget that graceful wing flapping. The TorpedoRay is built for power, using that thick, muscular tail for propulsion. It's a key difference that sets it apart. Number 4 is just an incredible fact. The pups are born live. They don't hatch from eggs. And they come out as perfect little miniature adults, already armed and ready to deliver a defensive shock from the moment they're born. Wow. And finally, number 5, the real deal on the danger. You have to respect its power, for sure. A shock from a TorpedoRay is a serious thing that can absolutely stun a grown human. But remember, while it's painful and disorienting, it is not considered deadly. You know, the TorpedoRay is just a perfect example of how evolution can come up with a solution that seems like it's straight out of a comic book. It just makes you wonder, if nature could invent a living taser, what other unbelievable superpowers are still out there, hidden in the deep, just waiting for us to find them?